born, who your parents are. It could be your intellect, or lack thereof. It could be your gender, or the color of your skin. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, the question isn't, do we have a disadvantage? The question is, what is our perspective of that, and how do we face it in our life? I want to share with you a few words of wisdom from my father that he shared with me over the years that have been helpful to me and might help us out with this. My father grew up in abject poverty in the middle of the Great Depression. At 12 years old, he was working on the farm, doing the same job as any man. At 14, he graduated from high school. Not because he was so smart, but because he had to go work more to provide for the family because their father abandoned them. But eventually, my dad taught himself computer programming and had a long, successful career. And another thing, my dad was a cowboy. Yep, he rode in the rodeo, riding bucking broncs and wild bulls, and he was wanted in 18 counties in 4 states and at the local village inn on Taco Tuesday. Maybe that last part's not true, but he definitely rode bucking broncs. And I think he used these words to help him in looking at what his disadvantages were and how he overcame them. The first I want to share with you is sometimes you have to back up and punt. In the game of football, sometimes the single best option is to back up and kick the ball to the other team. This seems counterintuitive to me. I must have the football in order to score a touchdown. But such is true in life, isn't it? Often we face momentary failures that seem like a loss. When in reality, they're often learning experiences that are actually helping move us closer to our goals. We might have lost a battle, but we haven't lost the war. We're still in the game. Sometimes you have to back up and punt. They can't eat you. My father would say this often to me when I was facing a situation where I had definite fear. Fear most often maybe of a confrontation or another individual in a situation I had to deal with. What he meant was, yeah, there's fear. You're afraid right now. But look at the perspective on it. Whatever this is, probably isn't going to kill you. You're probably going to be all right. So best just to change your perspective of it, face it, go through it, and be done with it. They can't eat you. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay. Now you might think that's from a 1980s action movie. It's actually from an old cowboy song. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay. Say it with me. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay. One more time. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay. Makes you feel better just saying it. I believe my dad said this often, to do an attitude adjustment. So how do we use this? Well, in the morning, we know we have a challenging day ahead. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay. The middle of the day, we're in the heat of the battle. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay. It's the end of the day. We've been beaten bloody by our challenges of the day. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay. See, while we might not be able to control our disadvantage, we can control our perspective of it. So how do we adjust that perspective? Let me see if I can give you an example from my life. In my late 20s, I was working on a master's degree. And I wrote a paper and submitted it to one of my professors. He returned that paper to me with so much red ink on it, it looked like a crime scene. In fact, he wrote on that paper, if you don't learn how to write, you will not get very far in your career. I didn't even want to write a thank you note after I was devastated. Have you ever had a situation like that where you were devastated by something that happened? Well, a few years ago, I decided I wanted to start a career in marketing. In fact, I wanted to start a business, and I knew I would probably have to write. My disadvantage, I wrote at a 5th to 7th grade level. But then I learned something. I learned that in order to write marketing messages that communicate effectively and clearly to a large audience, you should write at a 5th to 7th grade level. My disadvantage, now my advantage. The truth is, your disadvantage is the path to your success. Well, it's been 15 years since my father passed away. It's taken me that much time to truly understand the meaning of his words. This is my dad's cowboy hat. So, if we can remember, in the words of my father, how we should face our disadvantage. Sometimes you have to back up and pause. Failure isn't fun. They can't eat you. Facing your fears is not faith. And finally, when you really need to change your perspective, you simply need to say it with me, yippee-ki-yo!